Today's topic, how we can turn business requirements into user stories. Okay. Um, so let's go through our lesson today. So we have business requirements. You can see this is the Scrum board. We have backlog and we have board. So backlog, you understand, list of user stories, tasks, spikes. It's we have in the backlog. Um, we put it into a different sprint. So sprint is nothing but it's a 10 days, 10 working days. Usually 2 weeks, 10 business days. Some teams they have 3 weeks. It's normal standard is 2 weeks. So we are going to plan each of the sprint, right? Like we are in sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. Based on the delivery timeline, which user story we need to pull into which sprint, and we can start working on. So this is the backlog. So every sprint end, you can see this sprint start 15th August and end 29th August, right? So the next sprint start on 30th August and end within 2 weeks, right? That's how it goes. So between this timeline, what team can deliver, which feature we can build. That's how the sprint works. So once you start the sprint, and you can go to the board. So the board is we have a different tracking system here, right? First, once you start the sprint, the items whatever we plan in the sprint, it will come to the to-do list. Then it's go to in progress, and you can have a in review. Maybe in review we can have this one testing. So we have testing, select category. Okay, I need this one need to change instead of done. Okay, so let's say because we need it to do. Okay, in progress, what developers and testers are working, we need to have in review and done. Okay, so in let's see if we can modify this one. Okay, so I don't know how to modify testing. So we need to have an item called testing. Okay, I don't know it's where it's gone, but you got the idea, right? So we are tracking, people are pulling the item. So it go to in progress, and it's go to testing, and from testing to review to done. Okay, so now let's go back to our requirement here. So Jennifer, the planning, agile planning delivery lead, think about like a scrum master who facilitate. Okay, facilitate scrum master or delivery lead. Someone is to have a agile planning, right? So what we are going to prepare here, we are going to prepare epics, features, and user stories. So here you can see in the email itself, we will break down the business requirement into small pieces that work development team can deliver. Okay, so you have your agile planning room, you have your stakeholders, and technically your team. We don't need the stakeholder, but we need the team here. So let's go through the dialogue here. Okay, so Oliver, over the last few days, sorry, Jennifer saying, so the Jennifer is here our delivery lead. Okay, let's say scrum master. Okay, over the last few days we learned business problem, mapped the process, and understood the data flow, right? So you know what project we are building, right? So we have mortgage data. We need to map the mortgage data into a dashboard for the credit risk analysis. That's the project we are working. So see, process diagram, you know the flow, right? So now we to transform into agile team can deliver. So this work we need to transfer, right? So let's go through. So this is the product backlog. So backlog I'm talking about here, you see this is the backlog. So when you as a BA, when you create items, so there are drop down plus sign here. So you see we have story, task, you can create, or you can click this button also. Usually we start with epic. From epic to we break down user stories and tasks, and then we'll put it into the backlog, and based on the availability we put it in the different sprint. Okay, so now let's continue this one. So main idea, business goal, we create epic. From the epic we'll have feature. That feature has a user story, then user story has acceptance criteria. That's a diagram. Okay, so now David is asking, can you explain the different terminologies there? So as a BA, this is your area. Okay, what are these things? Let's try to explain to the team. Okay, so epic represent large business capability. For example, mortgage credit risk reporting. So the business enable team monitor mortgage for accurately and efficiency. The epic is the big item. It's like a book. So if you create a epic here, let's create one epic here. Go here and select the item. Epic is like a big book, like what is the epic item here? So mortgage, I'm just copying to make the video fast. Okay, so epic, if you ask me, there is no standard format, so just add the description. So I'll add this one. So again, if you are going to use the enterprise version, it's slightly different, but the functionality is same. Why I'm saying slightly different, it looks like same only, but it's slightly different, I would say. Functionality wise same only, the free version will work. So we have created epic. So epic is like a database. It's like a big folder. Inside that folder, inside that table, we have different, sorry, inside the database we have tables like that. Inside the folder we have different files, and same like that. So if you think like a book, we have multiple pages. So we created a epic. Now you cannot see the epic here, but when you create the user story, let me see if you can see the epic here, what's your created. So here your epic you can see here, right? So this is the epic you created. You can see the epic in the list. Okay, so now let's go back to backlog. Features. So feature and epic is broken into small capability, right? Feature 1, mortgage data, data quality, risk calculation, risk data post. So feature is a functionality, right? Like what system should do. Those are the features. So what I do, instead of I create multiple features, we don't need to create. Sometime what I do, I put all the features in my epic, under the epic. So here when I create the epic, I didn't put much detail, right? So it's up to the team. No one going to look at your epic. So sorry. So the everyone need the user story, but this is more manageable for us to keep track. We're working. So I put all the features in my I don't create any features. So here it's clear, right? Under the mortgage risk reporting, we're going to build a feature for mortgage data integration, data quality validation, risk calculation, and risk dashboard reporting. So these are the features we are going to build. So user story. So someone is asking, developer is asking, what is a user story? So you know what is a user story, right? So who needs something? What do you need? Who do they need it, right? So I will interpret this one. Who does what, right? Like who is the person, the user, the person who is using the application, what actually doing, right? So here we have the famous popular format. As a user, I want what capability, so that the business value. So this is standard format. um, so user story if you are writing first time, so don't worry, like you, as a business analyst, we need to write good. That's if you are starting, do not worry, like developers, they will ask question, but you can, if you can answer to these three question, you are good to go. So what I am saying here, always, so here we will have user story one, um, the user story format. So I'll create a task, so I'll show you user story format. So it's just for your teaching, okay? So I'll add the description, create here. So you can always refer, so don't create this one in your backlog. So this is just a demonstration to explain to you. So here, user story format. Let me retitle this one. Okay, so you don't need to create if you are starting a project. You understand, right? So this just teach you. Okay. Okay, now, so let's create our first user story. Um, so user story, we are asking, Sarah is explaining, risk analyst need to see mortgage exposure every morning. So that's the first user story we want to create. So user story first, view mortgage portfolio explorer. That's the title. So who is the user will go to the same, credit risk analyst is the user, what capability they want to view. So usually the action verb will go update, view, modify, create. That's after I want this action verb. So those are the common word we'll use, but you can modify, right? View, read, select, fetch, or something like that. Okay, so the format you remember, right? How to create. So user, who is the user? Credit risk analyst. What's the capability they want to view? What they want to view. So that's why who does what, right? Who is the person? Credit risk analyst. What's the capability they want to view? What they want to view? They want to view the report, right? So that business value. So what will happen? So that they can monitor bank's overall credit risk. You got this one, right? So let's create, to make this one fast, I'm going to create, so I'm going to go to the backlog, so you can, this is already created, right? Okay, so let's go to the backlog. Always have the backlog view. So I'm going to use this create options here, and I'm going to select the drop down, what is the Jira, okay, task, format. So we are creating a user story. So summary is the title, view mortgage portfolio. Okay, so always start with the action item, what capability. There is no specific format, guys. Okay, when I start also, I don't know how to write this one exactly, what so you can learn, but for a beginning, so you got cover. I'm giving the checklist, right? How you can write a clear title. So always start with the action verb, sorry, action verb. So what they want to view, so they want to view mortgage, right, portfolio, so exposure, that's what there. So what we are going to build here, so now we will write the format. Going to copy this one. So you are the business, you are the customer, okay? So whoever the person using the application, we call as the user. So the user is credit risk analyst. So what capability they want? They want to view, what they want to view, total mortgage portfolio. What is the benefit they can achieve? They can monitor the bank credit risk. Is this the user story done? So usually I write a title here, user story. Um, so this is good. Or I write under requirement. It's up to you, because when I write technical user stories, I don't have a user, so I write requirements, but it's up to you. So I'll remove requirements here. So we are writing requirements. So I start with the background, what the contacts here. So if you want to, you understand background mean like what is the current state, what is the future state where we are working, or something more information for the developer and tester. Okay, so if you have if you know, like, write one line summary, two line summary, what this feature is going to do, right? So if you don't know how to write, so you can write as is, right? Like a current state, what's the future state. Today mortgage agent cannot see the portfolio, so you are giving capability, right? So that's what the background goes. So let's go the next item. Definition of done, right? How we know this feature is working, the credit analyst can see this one, right? So someone has to test, that's the tester need to test that one. So how the tester will test, so that's why you need to add acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria is nothing but it's a definition of done and valid test cases. So scenario 1, we are telling we need to have the successful report generation, right? So given mean is the precondition. So what the where the user is given mortgage data has been received. So if there is mortgage data is there, when the daily risk calculation complete, okay, then the system should display total mortgage exposure, right? How much total. So these what their this task is depends on if data availability, right? That's the precondition. So calculation done, then only the user can see the total mortgage. That makes sense, right? We should have input, process, and the expected outcome. Remember our basic lesson, all computer lesson, we have input, that's the data, right? Which is information. I don't know if I'm confusing guys, but um, this is what we need. Okay, if you don't understand, that's okay. um, I'll try to let me know the question, like I'm not expecting to get everything on the first go. I don't think so. If you watch again and again, you'll try to understand, but we'll ask the specific question where you are not getting, so that maybe I'll create a different video. It doesn't matter, like one person don't understand, ask me if you don't understand. So don't wait for other people, because my level of understanding different, your level of understanding is different, right? So I'm thinking you should be able to get it this one, but if you don't get it, just ask me in the comment. I don't mind creating one separate video and explaining to you. Okay, so this is what the user is doing. That's when click the aggregation, the risk calculation is happening, right? The business rule, right? That's the process. This is very important. um, so this is the expected outcome, right? Output. Okay, so scenario 1, expected outcome. So let's copy this guy. So I'm going to break this video into small user stories. Okay, okay, so I'll copy as it is. So this go to user story. Okay, so you have to write accept. Okay, underline. Okay, so scenario 1 successful. We want to, user want to see the report. That's the main goal here. So what is the prerequisite, what the user is doing, like what system has to do first, and that what's the business rule or process, and what they have to then the final outcome. Okay, So we have, that's a happy path, right? So what will happen if there is no data, right? So given mortgage data contain missing balances, when validation runs, then the system should identify invalid records, right? So tester has to test this one, right? So does the system identify this one? So that's the so all the possible scenario you need to validate for this one, you need to include in the acceptance criteria. Okay, mortgage data, when there is a missing balance, when the validate, so we are saying business rule here, right? The process, it should validate if there is a missing data. That's how the developer interpret. So the tester will test this scenario. So you are saying the requirement is system should identify the missing balance, missing mortgage data, right? That's what we are telling. So identify the invalid records. That's one acceptance criteria. Report availability. So latest report should be available. So when the user is clicking on the dashboard, if this process complete, user should be able to open the dashboard. Okay. So you can create multiple user stories, but you want to keep it one user story, it's up to the team. So this is complete. Okay, so now let's read our user story one more time. So we created the user story. Let me refresh the backlog. I press Command R. So here in the backlog we create the user story. Okay, so this is our user story. So you see there is no epic added here, right? So we previously we created epic here. You see there is epic, we created mortgage risk reporting. So there is one more epic here, epic, right? So where we want to put all the user stories related to one epic, right? If you have a dashboard epic, so you want to have the user story related to dashboard, it will go to that epic, right? So for this demonstration we just only have one epic. So here it's saying I didn't add the epic, so I click this one. So it's giving the available epic, recent epic, so I'm selecting this epic. So when you pull a report, so you can see, or if you go to the particular epic, you can pull all the user story. If you open this epic, I'll show you. Let's say you have 100 user stories. It's difficult to search, right? So if you open the particular epic, under the epic you can see how many user stories are there, you can open. So this is easy to trace. That's why you should always assign the user story to the right epic. Okay, now everyone understand. There's Okay, so now the developer is saying what to build, right? So we give more detail that user story, right? So let me go to the user story one more time. So this is your user story. So we are saying this is the user, this is what they want, and this is the benefit. So we have success. First, mortgage data should be available, risk should be completed, and this should be available, right? So if there is a missing data, identify the missing data and say invalid record, right? Then this process complete, this information should be reflected in the dashboard. Okay, so we can, I'm going to stop this video because I don't want to add more user stories into the same video, so that you understand. I don't want to give you more detail and get confused you. So I'll create the second user story. So we have user story data validation. Okay, so we'll create that one. And we have risk calculation, right? So risk calculation, we can create one separate user story. Executive reporting, we can have so we can create, maybe we can create in this how many minutes? It says 24. So we can create, you can stop the video and you can watch. Let me create the other user stories also quickly, because these are in short. Okay, so now let's say you want to have a the data validation user story in separate user story. Okay, so let's create the user story first. So user story number 2, data validation. Okay, so what we are going to cover here, so user is uh, data quality analyst. I want the system identify missing mortgage and capture reports are prevented, right? Missing mortgage ID flag, missing customer ID flag, invalid balance are rejected. Because if you don't have a balance, you can you if you have a mortgage ID missing customer, that's fine. We need to send to the reporting agent, right? But without balance, we cannot send to the dashboard. It's no value, right? So that's what we try to prevent here. Okay, the previous user story, if you are wondering, don't we included this one, right? Like the missing data. So this is the functionality, right? Like we build, if there is a missing balance, let us know, flag this one so that we can send to the manual person, right? So what we try to achieve here, we are going more granular on that functionality. See what data is missing. If that data is missing, what we need to do. So mortgage ID is missing, yes, flag it, no problem, but make sure this is in the um, dashboard, this particular transaction. If customer ID is missing, so not critical, but flag it, someone can take care which mortgage is not coming, but the balance should be there in the dashboard. You got the functionality, right? How it should work. So that's why it's very important. You need to do the actual work rather than watching the video. The more exercise you do like this, then you'll get it. Okay, because you can join the community, the channel, and you can work on a project, and you can put it in the comments so that other student can also participate. So it's learning for everyone. So that's why the channel is there. We can learn together. Okay, so I can comment, because we have very small community, not a big community like 100 or 150 users there watching the views. So it's very everyone can work together. Okay, so here I just copy and paste it. So user story, data quality analyst, so maybe the QA or the data engineer, right? So they're the one going to use this one, but whoever going to use this one, this should be addressed, right? Yes, happy path you covered in the previous use to. If there is no amount, right, and we cannot mortgage ID is missing, right? We cannot fetch the past due balance, right? Remember, these are different table, right? If there is no mortgage ID, we cannot get the number of past due, right? So if past due is not there, we cannot evaluate the business rule. That's what we need to reject this one. We need to flag, but show the balance, right? So that's a main thing. So we'll go to the next user story we have in here, risk calculation. Okay, so let's create the user story number 3. So we didn't add epic, so we are adding epic here. Let's copy, because when I type it's gonna take time, so you know what I'm building, right? So okay, let's create, and we can talk about this user story. Again guys, so you can add a background here, that's going to be complete. Okay, so we will have multiple sessions about writing user stories. Okay, Okay, so user is the credit risk manager. Yes, we need to calculate the mortgage risks. Then it should identify the risk portfolio, medium or high, right? Precondition um, when total expose is there, when is calculated, right? Delinquent loan amounts, if it is past due, right? So if it is not past due, we don't. So again, we are going to more deeper layer here, right? We first user story, we should have mortgage data, right? So now you are saying after mortgage data calculate, right? Like after calculation happen, need to check the business rule if it is a delinquent loan, right? If it's a delinquent loan, and calculate the risk level, so that it's going to come how many days past due. That's what is expecting to do this user story. Okay, the final one, reporting. Let's create this user story. Use this one. Okay, either you can create from here or here, that's fine. Okay, I'll create from here. I click this one, so I need to add a description here because I didn't add the description. So come here, description is easy. I can copy this one. Okay, let me add a user story. I like to keep my Jira task organized. Okay, now let's read the user story. Okay, you don't need to put user story number or anything, right? So you just to demo purpose only. So executive reporting. So user is the whoever the end user of the dashboard. They want a dashboard showing the mortgage risk trend so that they can make informed decision. When display current explorer, right? So display current explorer, display. So here we don't have a given when then. So we are straight away we are saying display current exposure, display risk categories, display historical trend, right? So what mortgage data we have, what are the past dues, and display the historical trends, right? Like what's happening. We can create this one comparison. Okay, so here if you notice we don't have given when then. You can say verify that, or you can write any kind of plain English, right? Like a kind of validation. So we are telling action verb is first, display this one, display this one, display this one. So this is the expected behavior. So you can see the pattern, how to write acceptance criteria. All right. Okay. So you can write this on questions. Okay. A large business, fill in the blank. A large business capability is called an, you can write the answer. Okay, I'll leave it to you. A smaller capability inside an epic is called, what is that? Okay, feature, right? So user stories describe who, what, and, okay. Acceptance criteria explain how we know a user story is, okay. So a person who helps translate business need into story is the, okay. So next one, you have some exercise to create user story. So risk managers want alerts when mortgage risk increase. So this is a feature we want to build. So if you can write the user story, that would be good. So part C, good, identify good acceptance criteria. Which is better? The system should be user friendly. Given risk manager logs in when they open the dashboard, then mortgage expert should display. So which one is good? And you can write your answer. Okay, so there is no right or wrong, but there is more granularity, option A or option B. So I'll leave it to you. So we created today agile product backlog, epics features, user story acceptance criteria. So these documents will guide developers and testers during implementation, right? So this is very important. So a big business analyst write requirements like build a dashboard. A strong business analyst, right? As a credit risk manager, I need daily mortgage exposure reporting so that I can monitor portfolio risk. So the second statement explains the user, the need, and the business value. Okay, so that's the end of day 7. As this meeting ends, Alex approach you. The stories are clear. So mostly, if you get this comment from a developer, that means you are doing a good job. Even like experienced business analysts, we do get comments in the retrospective requirement or ambiguity, like it's not clear, it's not our problem, but as a business analyst we need to write clear requirement. But if the developer is saying user stories are clear, that's a good start. Okay, so he's saying the requirements are clear. The QA already know the test scenario, so everyone is happy. So you need to make happy these two team, because the developer team and the QA team, they are the one going to build. Okay, so we'll go technical. You'll APIs integration and application components communicate. So you leave the meeting knowing have completed and the critical BSA responsibility. So turning business problem into actionable work for technology team. Okay, thank you team. I'll see you in a different video.